intro. My name is Lucas Besth, and I'm part of JL Photo with my fiancée Julia. And yeah, so we do wedding and portraiture photography primarily. We do commercial photography as well, and maternity, newborn, all the whole jam. So we're busy people. We love what we do. But I'm going to rewind and kind of talk about how I got into doing what I do. I didn't start taking photos until about 4 years ago, and it was because I met Julia, and she had just arrived in Vancouver. Actually, I'm going to restart there. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Right on. Yeah, right on. Yes. Okay. Follow Ash's example. Okay. So I grew up an athlete. I identified myself as an athlete. I was a pretty good soccer player in my day, you know. And it's actually soccer which led me into my previous career, which was plumbing, gas fitting, and pipe fitting. So I was working here 8 to 5 and doing that, and I loved it. It was a great career. But soccer and plumbing got kind of cut short in 2011 when I was playing soccer in this championship game, and it was for a pretty competitive church league that I played in, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. But I ended up tearing my ACL and my lateral meniscus at halftime. Just before halftime, it came to a sudden stop, and yeah, disaster struck. So, and that's, yeah, thank you. Yeah, right on. Okay, so that kind of flipped my entire life upside down, because I lost, in that single moment, the ability to play soccer and be confident on the field. My advancement in my career that I was after was kind of put on a standstill. So I'm going to flip the page here. You guys can all hear it. So the long process of healing and dealing with that was pretty strenuous. I had a year I had to wait for surgery, so I was ACL-less for this year, and I was plumbing and working and trying to endure the pain and struggle of, you know, the labor that I had to do. And at the same time, I couldn't play soccer, so I was searching for other things to do and other ways to keep positive and keep moving forward. So I kind of turned towards art at that time, and it's something I've always done. My mom's a great painter. It runs in the family. My dad's he does local theater in Ladner, BC and stuff. He really impresses me because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, but he did that way later in life. So in 2014, this is long after I had recovered and stuff. I went through the 6 months of physical therapy. I was feeling great. I was back at work, and I was on a job site with a fella named Eric Olson, and I worked with him on a lot of jobs together. And he convinced me to get onto Tinder. You guys all know Tinder. He convinced me to get onto Tinder. You guys, okay, thank you. Thanks, Ash. Yeah. He convinced me to get onto Tinder, and you guys, you all know Tinder. And actually, it was a Tuesday in May of 2014, and that's the day I met my wife online, future wife online. And so we met on a Tuesday online, and on a Thursday we went on our first date, and she had just arrived in BC. She had just arrived in BC. She was about a month into her program at Van Arts in Vancouver. It's a digital photography, a media across the board kind of school. Very good school. Yeah, I'm getting pasty. That was off script.
Pause for moderation.
You guys are awesome. Okay, so yeah, she arrived. She was in photography school, and we hit it off. And I expressed an interest in photography right from the get-go, I think, once I met her. We're living in a beautiful city, and what better way to go on a date and take some photos and enjoy good food and all that jazz. So when she got into school, she purchased a new camera and a new laptop for school, and so she had an extra camera and an extra laptop. So within 3 weeks of us dating, she was like, "Here, take this." And she gave me her laptop and her camera to use. And so we would go out. Our dates consisted of, photo lessons pretty much. She would bring her lessons from school to our dates, and we would practice. We would practice nonstop. And we'd bring our cameras everywhere with us. And our relationship grew, and also our passion for photography. In early 2015, we moved into Burnaby, into a house together, basement suite. I'm gonna flip the page here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we moved in. Thanks.
There he is.
So we moved into Burnaby, and this is long after Julia had finished her schooling, and she wasn't using her education at all. She was working at Brown Social House in New Westminster, and I was still plumbing. I ended up going to BCIT and finished my apprenticeship, but I was super proud to accomplish because of me a couple of years back thinking that it would be cut short or potentially not even happen. So that was a great accomplishment. I'm really proud of that. And yeah, so Julia wasn't using, I don't need this anymore. Julia wasn't, maybe I do. I'll look at my hand from now. Julia, she wasn't using her education, so, and I was in school, and I think it was while I was in school, she brought up the idea of moving to Regina and starting a photography company. She just like mic dropped on me. And I was like, okay, you want to move away, and I kind of want to stay here, and like, wow. So that took some processing to do that, but I started weighing some options, and I had been juggling my career the whole time, and the longevity of my knee and my health as a whole was something that I wanted to prolong, and a career change was something that might do that for me. So we went in August of 2016, August 2015. So I came out to Regina for the first time, and we stayed at Echo Lake. It was beautiful, sunny the whole time. I was kind of feeling out the province, right? And I loved it here. It was amazing. We stayed at Echo Lake in the cottage, a family cottage, and it was stunning. I was like, okay, like I can do this. We can move here. I can make the switch, because I'm an avid hiker and whatnot back in Vancouver and stuff. And I was like, I miss that, the outdoors and stuff. But it's just as beautiful here. And yeah, so we got back to Burnaby, sold our apartment, our basement suite. Well, no, just gave it up. sold the truck. We weren't homeowners. And then I sold my truck. I said goodbye to friends and family, and on January 12th, we flew out to BC, or to Regina. Coldest day of the year. We arrived on that. It was minus 36. It was the coldest day of the year, and I was like, "What happened?" Like, I was here in August. It was beautiful, but so it was a little shell shocked. But before we flew out, actually, I should backtrack. We had planned some creative shoots. We got like artist and gown designer Manuel Mendoza involved, and some florists and models who Julia had contacts through Van Arts and her schooling. And so we put together these creative shoots to build up our portfolio. Never had shot a wedding before. And we went, sorry, gotta think here. And after that, yeah, and then we called Regina. We found a wedding expo that was going on, most incredible wedding expo, I believe it is, and signed up for that. So that was on January 24th. We had flown in on the 12th. We had 12 days to get ready for this expo. We had zero exposure here before that, like none. It was non-existent as far as we knew. And so I built this huge apparatus, this like, it weighed like 200 pounds. We had no way of getting it around without like 3 guys. And so I made this huge thing to display our photos, and we had a great response at this expo, and it inspired us to keep going, really, because we were going off on a whim and just a hope. And so after that, we actually had one woman come up that day, and she had seen us already on Facebook, and she's like, "I've been following you guys on Facebook, and you guys are awesome, and I want you guys to do my wedding." And we're like, "What? Like, are you kidding me?" So that was a huge surprise and a huge uplifter for us, and after that, the rest is history. It's just been pretty much trial and error since then. Every decision we make together, and we're really fortunate in that sense. We always have someone to consult with before we go through with something. So we had 16 weddings that season, actually in 2016 for our first year, which is kind of unheard of when you're getting into digital photography and weddings and whatnot. And we're extremely fortunate for that. And we doubled it by 100% this year, and we have 30 plus weddings this year, which is amazing. And we get to do it, and we get to, share our stories with our clients, and we love what we do. Our connection, I think we bring like a warm connection to every wedding and to every place that we go with people, because we share that same love on that day, that's so special to them. So we're really fortunate. I guess the moral of the story, don't count yourself out. You're more than you ever thought you are or could be. So I think that makes sense. Anyway, so that's all I got. Thanks for being so. Thanks for